Chapter 12. The Perception. Projection Loop. Principle. What you stare into is staring back at you and eventually will become you. The way you look at reality is the way reality will look back at you, and that's simply because you and reality are one. The masses will look out into their world without realizing they are simply looking in their world. Many see a reality they don't like without ever realizing they are not seeing reality, but their distorted version of reality. As human beings, we are comforted by the notion that when we look out into the world, we are seeing it as it is, without ever realizing a deep metaphysical truth. You don't see the world as it is, but as you are. You don't realize that you are seeing reality through lenses tinted by your state of consciousness or frequency. This applies to everyone. Perception is defined in the Cambridge Dictionary as a belief or opinion, often held by many people and based on how things seem. There's two important parts to that definition. Until you unpack them, you will continue in a cycle of unwanted reality. 1. A belief or opinion. 2. Based on how things seem. A belief or opinion aren't truths. They're ideas that mask themselves as truths. However, once accepted by the subconscious mind, they begin to become truths by materializing all around us in our realities. There are no truths in your reality other than what your subconscious accepts as true. Once accepted, this truth will solidify. How things seem will always depend on where you are standing. I'm not talking about your physical position, but your mental one, your state of consciousness, or your frequency. By dissecting the definition of perception, a truth is revealed. Your perception ultimately leads to your projection, which is what we call reality. Most people will never realize that the way they are choosing to perceive something is intricately connected to the reality that their mind projects. The dangerous thing about perception being connected to projection is that it is the beginning of a cycle from which many will never escape. The perception-projection loop. Unaware that the way they see reality is the way it sees them, most people take a dim view of reality, which can only lead to them projecting the worst. The most unfortunate part about this is that once they experience the worst, unaware that it's closely related to how they are seeing reality, they champion that experience as truth, further reinforcing and solidifying that reality, perception. Perception drugs you with an artificial ego boost. All humans love being right, sometimes even if it leads to our own destruction. Yet, in these circumstances, the irony is that they are wrong, as it is only a truth in the subconscious mind. It is common in dating circles for people to bemoan a lack of suitable potential partners. That perception ultimately leads to a projection of reality. They go on a succession of bad dates with people they don't get on with, leading them to believe they were right. They don't realize that their desire to be proven right is sabotaging their dates, destroying any chance of them finding love. Your perception quite literally causes you to emit a different frequency, ultimately putting you in a completely different world, one of many. Perception will act blindly. It can either help or harm you. It is a tool of construction or destruction. If your perception doesn't serve you, then it will control you. There are two things that'll cause this. 1. The old frequency. The main aim of your old frequency is to exist, and perception is one way it continues projecting its frequency into your current reality. When you experience certain conditions, events, circumstances, or people, it'll immediately encourage you to look at situation through the worst lens possible. As a result, you create the worst outcome possible. After creating the worst outcome, it's natural to feel and think the worst thing possible. That mental and emotional energy is getting its fix. 2. The world. The universe seeks balance. It prefers everything to operate on a similar level for its own equilibrium. But that balance only exists if everyone remains at the same level of consciousness. To maintain this, society feeds us the same set of beliefs, the widely accepted truths about how life works, what's possible, and what isn't. And the irony? The world sells you these beliefs once, and then you spend the rest of your life reselling them to yourself. Unfortunately, it sells us the version it wants us to live in, which revolves around failure, limitation, misery, suffering, scarcity, and struggle. Once a belief is accepted, it becomes the lens through which you see the world. That ultimately shapes your reality, so it is your reality. It is often said that perception is reality, and metaphysically it is. If you see the world through your own lens, which shapes the projection of your reality, it would be wise to perceive your life through the lens of your desired reality so you can experience the projection of that reality. Every circumstance, condition, event, or experience with people in your reality must be seen through this lens. Practical. If the version of me in my desired reality jumped into my body, how would it look at things? There is no right or wrong answer. The purpose of the framing is simply to flex the perception muscle of your desired reality. The more you see reality through this lens, the more reality will see you that way. Changing reality is simply a matter of changing how the world sees you. In order to change the way the world sees you, you must change the way you see yourself. You must change the way you see through yourself. At the beginning, this process will require some conscious practice, but eventually it will become unconscious. At that point, the manifestation will feel effortless. Control your perception, or the world will control it for you.